Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for hopping on and joining our training here today. I know we are expecting a bit of a crowd, so I want to give everyone the opportunity to hop on and join us here before we get started. Now, we do have a lot to cover, so I am going to get started here very soon, but a few little pieces of housekeeping. Now, we will keep everybody on mute during our session. That just allows me to record our training today and provide a copy right on back so that anyone in attendance has this as a resource. Additionally, helps us stay a bit organized. So feel free, take a moment to locate that chat feature within your Zoom toolbar. Let me make sure on my end that one's all toggled on for you. There we go. So go ahead, take a moment, locate that chat feature in your Zoom toolbar. Just take a moment to have that handy. So in case you have any questions during our session, you can drop them there. And I'll stop periodically to check in, make sure those questions are getting answered. If it's something a little bit lengthier, we'll take some time at the end, walk through it a little bit more in depth. So we're going to go ahead, get started again, just in about one more minute. I'm going to wait till we're about 3 minutes after the hour mark. We'll jump in, get started with today's training. All right, everybody. Once again, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. We do have enough to cover. So we're going to dive in. We've got a couple of big topics that I want to highlight today. First, we'll touch on the basics, and then I definitely want to touch on if you are jumping over to Skyslope from an outside forms tool, or maybe you made a change to your own work here today. Maybe you've actually switched brokerages recently and you would like to see how to take those forms with you. So that's really what we're going to highlight here today during our session. Now, I'm available to answer any questions that you have. You can feel free, as mentioned, drop those right on over in the chat feature for us. We'll answer those questions as we move right along. Logan, I'm going to go ahead and promote you right on over to a panelist there so you can keep an eye on that chat. Amazing. So here we'll go ahead, jump in, answer any questions for you today. But if you have questions after our session, you'll always be able to reach out to Skyslope support. So they're here late nights, weekends, and holidays. We know that your typical workflow is not the 9 to 5, so we do not want to staff that way either. We want to make sure that you have a resource available to you anytime you're working within the account. I'll highlight this team within your own account so that you'll be able to easily access them again if you have any questions during your process. And with that, let's go ahead, jump right into my Skyslope account. Now, as you'll know, you will access this right on through your NMAR dashboard. So you'll be able to locate Skyslope directly available within your products list. So you can click right into your own Skyslope dashboard, which will look a little something like this. Now, don't worry, guys, if you have yet to experience Skyslope forms and you need a little bit more details on how to set up your account, I have a resource for you that I'll present at the end of our session. So don't worry if you need that getting started bit a little bit slower. I actually have a nice PDF outlines those getting started action items there so you can easily roll through that checklist and be available, ready to go here within Skyslope forms. So now today, I really want to highlight the basics and then provide quite a few little tips and tricks. Now, as a first-time user, or if you are a seasoned user, maybe you just haven't done this step quite yet, the first thing that we like to see is our users drop their name down up at the top corner here and fill out this user profile. Now, some people don't realize that this actually auto-populates within the forms. So if you do not want that double data entry, fill that out through your profile here. All of this information will naturally go ahead and generate on over within your forms. Now, I'm working in a demo account here today, so I have quite a lot going on. But jump right on over here, my multi-state users. Let's add New Mexico for today since I have a new Albuquerque listing we're going to work on together. We'll go ahead and save that region as needed. And then lastly, I'll check in on my libraries. So popping right on over into my libraries here, I can scroll right on through. As we know, we'll be using New Mexico Association of Realtors, but if you have any of those smaller regional boards, you have the ability to come right on over, add those libraries in. It may prompt you for your NRDS ID. Now, that's really the complete setup of Skyslope Forms. Very little setup required. Again, just complete out that user profile to give yourself that nice shortcut and make sure that you're connected to the right libraries. From there, you're ready to get started. I can then use these navigation bars up at the top here. I'll click over here on Files. That will show me all of my in-progress files. I have the option to take part in reusable templates. And I also have the ability to browse my libraries or utilize clauses. Now, clauses is a little bit more geared towards my Canadian users. But here, if you do have that legal verbiage, you have your own clause manager. You can easily upload those and then import them into your text fields. Now, I do want to take just a moment to talk about templates. You'll see within my account, I have personal templates and I have brokerage templates. If I have any brokers on the call here today, if you would like to package together these forms for your agents, a great shortcut, especially if we're transitioning on over into Skyslope Forms. Let's see, I thought I had a New Mexico one in here, maybe not. That's okay. Here, just for an example, if I frequently work with residential listings, I know that my agents are going to need really this collection of forms for a new listing. So it allows me to group those together on their behalf and have them readily available within their Skyslope Forms tool. Again, this is not referring to the mapping of these forms, so I'm not placing text box or check boxes or anything of the sort. This is going to allow me to group together these documents and pre-fill my own information. Another great shortcut that's available for you here within Forms. I'll talk a little bit more about templates when I'm working with my client. We also, again, have some great support tutorials that will walk you through creating these nice shortcuts. Awesome. So I'll see that division here, personal templates versus brokerage templates. If I have a collection of forms as an agent, if maybe my brokerage did not choose to take part in broker edition, I, as an agent, I can create personal templates. So I don't have a New Mexico template here, so let's create one together. As the personal template, I'll indicate what type of template I look to create. So I'm going to grab those seller documents today. We'll give this guy a quick name. This is going to be for my Albuquerque listing. And if you are a broker or an admin and you have that feature enabled, you will be able to broadcast that as a brokerage template. Today, I'll work with a personal template. And I'll be greeted now by my library. So this is just the reason why we like to cover that getting started bit first. Make sure that your personal information and professional data is available in that user profile. And then make sure those libraries are connected so you can come right on over and have that full access. So I'm going to go ahead and use my New Mexico forms today, of course. Maybe I want to add in that listing summary sheet. I want to go ahead and grab that broker compensation, maybe that seller authorization. Perfect. I've got my, of course, my listing agreement. I'm going to need that. Scrolling right on through. And then maybe I oftentimes work with referrals. So I'm going to go ahead and include a referral agreement in this grouping. So now that I've clicked on a handful of forms, you'll notice my pancake stack down below. So this looks great. I've got these 5 different forms included. I'll click continue. And it will lead me into my forms fillable page. So now when working with our reusable templates, what we always like to keep in mind is really stick to that 80-20 rule. If 80% of the time this information remains the same, great opportunity to come in here and pre-fill. Maybe I'm always working the same commission splits. I can come in here and pre-fill all those blue fillable fields. Same thing, maybe I'm working the same neighborhoods. So on my listing agreement, I can roll through and indicate those are the different MLS boards that I'm going to be posting to. Anything that's going to, once again, save you that time. So if it's subject to change, better off leaving it blank, since when you do have a property in the mix, good opportunity to pre-fill that information at that time. Awesome. So this already looks great. I really like this grouping of 5 forms. If I would like to add any additional forms from that library, I can bring them right in, or I also have the ability to upload any documents. So if you have forms that you frequently use that are, again, sitting on your desktop, maybe it's an informational packet and it just needs a quick signature at the bottom, great opportunity to go ahead and upload that document now. Brokers and admin on the call. If you're interested in having your own brokerage forms uploaded into Skyslope, we can do that for you. We'll map them out. You can include them in these reusable templates, and they're all ready to go when sending out for signature. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but brokers, keep that in mind. You can always send those forms to Skyslope. We'll happily create you a brokerage library. So I'm happy with this collection of forms. As you can see here, I'll go ahead and save that template. It's now available for me to use underneath my personal templates. So we'll go ahead and do just that. I'm going to click my Files button to return to my main dashboard. And I have a brand new property over here in Albuquerque. So I'm really excited. My client reached out to me today and said, "Hey, Kira, I think I'm ready to get this listed." So I reached out to him and said, "No problem. I'll draft up those documents for you and I'll send them on over via e-signature. So you'll get an email from me soon with those documents for signing." As an agent, I'll navigate right on over to Skyslope and I'll start my process by clicking Create. I'll then indicate who I'm representing. Today we'll be working with a seller for my brand new listing, and I'll provide my client's information. Now you'll notice that a nice drop-down menu appears for me simply because Michael and I have worked together quite a bit. So it allows me to pull in his information before I give the property data. Now, those of you that work with buyers, if you do not have a property identified yet, no problem. You can skip this altogether. You also have the ability to import MLS data if you're preparing an offer and you would like to give yourself that nice shortcut. So you can pull that information in if you're preparing out an offer for a property. Since I am working with a brand new listing, I have not put this on the MLS quite yet. So I'll just simply type this in manually here. Awesome. So I've got that Buckeye Street Northwest. That's perfect over in Albuquerque. I can then choose how I would like to name my file, address, primary client, maybe a little bit of both. Go ahead and do a little dash there. There we are. So I like to customize that name here just a bit before it asks if I'd like to start with one of my templates. Well, of course, we just spent the time packaging those together. So I'm going to go ahead and select. I know it'll bring those 5 forms right on over to us. So I'll simply click Create down at the bottom, bring those forms right on over. You'll notice that I have a new round of tabs up at the top here. I have some action items available for me in this menu, and I can begin pairing these forms out to send to my client for signature. Before I do best practice, I always like to highlight the file details page here. So file details, this is going to contain your contacts. So if you have any additional contacts, maybe you have a co-listing agent or an assistant, maybe a transaction coordinator, whatever the case might be, I'm just going to say I have an assistant here today. I can actually default their action when we jump into DigiSign. So if I want to preset them to needs to sign, maybe receives a copy, I'm going to go ahead and say that I have my Miss Allie agent here. She happens to be my assistant that I work with a lot. So I'll just go ahead, drop her information. There we go. That looks good, and save. So I'm just saving her in here as a contact. Again, that just makes her easy to grab from a drop-down menu when I'm working on sending these for signature. So this looks great. This section will continue to learn and grow as I prepare different documents and send them out for signature. Once I have an accepted offer, I'll see that MLS number, that sales price, these dates nicely fill in for me. I'll return right on back to my Forms tab here, and we'll start preparing out these documents to get them submitted in. Right away, of course, I want to go ahead and grab that exclusive right to sell. I don't need to worry about the listing summary sheet at this time, but I do also want to go ahead and include, let's say, that broker compensation form. So I have these two documents ready to go. I also have the option to upload any documents from my computer. So let's say I also happen to have a sample document that I want to upload and include. I can go ahead and select that one here as well. So now I have these three forms that I've selected, an action menu down below, and the ability to move forward and fill and send. So right away, this will look familiar from when we were working on our templates, these nice blue fillable fields. There we go, scrolling right on down. So I can begin to fill this out. Let's say name of my transaction coordinator. I've got Miss Allie Agent here that's helping me out. This is the part 2, so I go ahead and scroll. There we go. Awesome, there we are. So rolling right on down, I can see a lot of this information is nicely populating. And again, that's coming from that user profile and any pre-filled information that we pulled from that a reusable template. So today this is going to be a residential. This is a nice resale, so that's ready to go. I can fill out all of this other information as needed, include those exclusions, these terms. Perfect, that's what I wanted. So to go ahead and say that we're going to start this right on out today. We're actually going to push this out by about a year. That listing price, this is a really cute property, so we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a nice big price tag. And I'm going to see as I click into these little fields here, down at the bottom, you're going to see it naturally saves. So same thing, we'll roll right on through. I can pre-fill that commission split or fill it out now that I'm working with a property. I still have the option to import MLS data, so I can take advantage of that shortcut once again if I'm representing a buyer preparing out an offer. And I'll also have some markup tools available in case I would like to apply these to any uploaded forms. The ability to print, download, or share via email. So as an agent, I'm just rolling through, preparing out these documents, my standard process of making sure all of these fields look good. For the document that I chose to upload, once again, I have those markup tools available. This document here just needs a couple of signatures, which I'll go ahead and do when I move into DigiSign. Now, here's a quick best practice for you. If you are just working on filling out these forms, you're just preparing them, but you do not intend on sending them out for signature quite yet, you have two options. If I use this back button up at the top here, it will not save it as a draft envelope. It's simply indicating that I still have a little bit more work to do before I'm prepared to package these together. However, if I come down and I click Save and Exit, that will save it as a draft envelope, indicating that my next step is to simply click Send and send that right on off for signature. So it's just a little bit of a difference here with the Skyslope platform. Again, you're always going to have your changes saved, so you never need to worry about losing any progress. So you can back out at any time. Those documents will still be filled out. If you go ahead and click Save and Exit, that indicates that you've really completed filling out these forms. And the last step that you need to take is just initiate that send. So let me know in the chat there if you have any questions. I'm going to jump us into DigiSign and prepare this out for signature. I can see right away that my client needs to sign. I'm going to set this to no action just for demo purposes today. And I can see Miss Allie here. She's set to receive a copy. So that is something that we did under file details. Again, another just a little tip and trick there for you to make people easily accessible. I can choose if she likes to receive a copy, maybe she needs to sign, or no action, but it's nicely defaulted here as receives a copy. Another best practice for you, I definitely recommend give this guy a rename. So I'm just going to say listing docs. Oop, why can't I name? There we go. We'll just say listing docs for Mike. Prepare that envelope right on out. I'll go ahead and click next to move forward into DigiSign. But the reason why I like to rename that envelope, naturally it'll pull it by the address. So just to help clarify, oops, sorry about that, guys. My demo account just went a little bit funky. Let me work our way back. Oh, that's what happens in demo accounts, just to make sure that they keep me on my toes. Awesome. So I just want to highlight, it's exactly the same as if I had hit save and exit. If you do click save and exit, it'll drop that envelope again, not losing any progress. It'll always save that for you right here. So once again, I can click right in. This will bring me right into DigiSign. So you'll notice that it does not return me to that fillable screen. So that's the reason why I like to highlight that functionality. If I would like to go back to the fillable screen, I would just use that back button rather than save and exit. Whew. All right, guys. So we've already had a chance to cover a lot. I know I've been shutting your ear off here for about the first 30 minutes already. So let's just do a quick recap on how we ended up here within DigiSign. As an agent, the first thing that I did was access Skyslope forms directly through my MLS. So I just went on over there, located Skyslope from my products menu, clicked right in. Now that brought me to my main Skyslope forms dashboard, where I clicked create new, provided my client's information along with that listing address. I went ahead and used that reusable template to pull my forms right on over into my forms file, giving myself that nice shortcut. I did not need to sort through my forms library at a later time. I then went ahead, prepared out those forms, all my blue fillable fields. I had a chance to populate my own data and information, either manually or using the MLS import. And I've now sent these documents right on over into DigiSign. So this is our integrated e-signature tool that's available to you. Now, the beauty of using DigiSign is any document that's coming from these libraries. So this is coming directly from the New Mexico Association of Realtors. These documents are already going to come mapped and coded. So I can see my initials are already placed where they need to be. If I scroll all the way down to that signing page, I'll see that sign, that date and timestamp already mapped out, which looks great. Same thing, just scrolling right on through, seeing all those pre-placed blocks. Agents, if you'd like to make any changes, you can always click on a block and then the editing options will appear here to your left. Scrolling right on down again, that listing agreements all filled out, looking good. All those signatures are where they need to be. I can also use this here to jump down to page 15. Perfect. I just like to check to make sure that that looks good. Now, lastly, I have my uploaded form. So now this PDF here does not have that mapping already applied simply because I chose to upload this from my computer. So here I can simply use all of my tools up at the top. I'll go ahead and use that signature. It will match my client with that orange color here, and I can go ahead and place. Once again, once I place a field on the left-hand side, that editing block is going to appear. So I have the option to mark, or I have the ability to mark this as optional. I have some block actions. And you'll also notice that mine automatically applied this date. That is something that I actually toggled on. As a user, I can navigate on over to my DigiSign preferences. So here underneath preferences, I would be able to go ahead and automatically apply a date stamp. I could include a time stamp as well. My Canadian users can update that to be the date, month, year formatting if they would like. I have the ability to include PDF attachments to emails when clients receive copies. So I have quite a few different ways that I can cater DigiSign to match my preference. So jump right on over here, customize that to fit your workflow. I liked having that automatic date placed, one less thing that I need to do. And currently, Skyslope does not have the ability to indicate a specific font size. But if you would ever like to increase the size of that font, simply increase the size of the field it lives in. So you'll see it'll give me my options here. I'm going to go ahead and use this one to expand this right on out. So if I make that signature block larger, the text inside will respond accordingly. However, that feature is on our radar. It's actually coming here soon. So keep an eye out for emails letting you know when those new features have been released. So I've placed Michael's signature here. I can move that around if needed, no problem. I'm happy with just my client signing. Miss Allie's going to receive a copy. But if I did have multiple parties involved and I wanted to cater a quick signing group, I'd be able to do so here by clicking Edit Recipients. I can see Mike is set up here to sign first. Miss Allie is down below to receive a copy. And here it's going to give me the option to move these around. So I can go ahead and cater that signing group if I had multiple contacts included. You do not need to set a signer group. If you leave this blank, if you just let all parties receive, they can go ahead, they can all sign at the same time. So just your preference. That's how you're going to set up a signing order. Simply drag and drop. You're also going to have this option here. We automatically have this toggled on to send out reminders for this envelope. If for any reason you'd like to toggle this off, just simply unselect this block before we move forward. Awesome, guys. So we spent a good amount of time here in DigiSign. I could use all these tools up at the top here. Remember, you can customize DigiSign a bit further underneath your preferences. I am happy with all of those initials and signatures in their place. So my last step, I can go ahead, send this right on out for a signature. Once again, I kind of like to add a little customization here. We'll just say, please let me know if you have any questions. And I also have the ability to go ahead and enhance my email. This is Skyslope Step into AI here. So let's go ahead and maybe make that friendly. And I'll go ahead and add in my name. So that looks good. We'll send that right on out for a signature. As an agent, I'll receive confirmation that my work here is done. And I'll also then be brought from my draft forms. I'm now brought right on over into my envelopes tab. So this is perfect. I can now manage that outgoing envelope that has those 3 forms included. Over here, I have an action menu. Maybe at this stage, I said, oops, I actually forgot to add a document. Here, I'd be able to click correct envelope and bring that back to my draft form. So I'd actually go ahead and resend that out if I needed to add another PDF. If I simply need to make an update to an email address, maybe I just, fat fingered my contact, I'd be able to come over here to remind and resend and use this little pencil here. I could actually just edit that email. If you do edit that email, rather than just clicking done, make sure that you initiate that second push by clicking send reminder. So again, we get a lot of questions about how to correct things if we sent it out a little bit too soon or if we just notice an error after the fact. Once again, if you need to do a large change, like add in a couple of extra signatures or even bring in another form, you'll go ahead and click correct envelope and bring that back to the form's fillable page. If you just need to make a correction to that email, no need to void that out and correct it. Just go ahead and click remind and resend. Now, we do not have text message notifications for when a client has opened this. However, again, definitely on our radar, keep an eye out for that. You do have the ability to view that history. So that makes it really easy for you to pop over, see if your client has had a chance to open that quite yet. You can even go ahead, maybe send them a fresh copy through that remind and resend if you notice it's been a few days. Now, I happen to have a little bit of visibility there over into my client's email inbox. So I'm just going to go ahead, follow that email right on over. I can see that I have documents waiting to sign. So when my client receives this envelope, I can go ahead and click Get Started. As a client, will agree to those terms. And I'll use my arrow to lead me right on over to my very first signature block. Now, this will allow me to change my signing style, or I can also choose to draw, whatever my preference. And it will immediately jump me right on over to that next required field. Now, I know that this listing agreement has quite a few initials on it, so we'll move right on through. If you would like, you can actually keep an eye on the bottom right of my screen. I have a little counter that'll show our progress. That way, just in case this is making your head spin, you can keep your eye on that little fixed counter there that's slowly creeping its way up as we complete our fields. And you'll notice when I go ahead and select that final signature, that finish signing button will change. It'll actually go ahead and glow blue, which will give my client the ability to finalize their process. They have the option to download these documents. They can then save them to their local drive. All parties will receive an email letting them know that all of these documents have been completed. It looks just like this. So here, the same email that Allie would have received, I as an agent would have received, along with my client, lets me know that those documents have been completed. We'll scroll right on down. We have those 3 PDFs included. So again, for safekeeping, you can choose to either grab them directly from your email. But of course, we hope that that leads you right on back to Skyslope Forms. I can see that that envelope has been marked as complete. My action menu will update, so I can now download that certificate, download these documents, again, view that history. But rather doing it from your action menu on the envelopes tab, you can also navigate on over to your Sign Docs tab here. I can see my 3 different forms are available to me. So as an agent, I now have the ability to select these forms and I can choose how I would like to proceed. So at this stage, I can either choose to print, download, or I can also share via email. If I share via email, it automatically includes that as a nice attachment. I can draft this up. So if I have any contacts that need to receive these documents or a copy of, I always have the opportunity to do so. Now, there's no storage limitation here within Skyslope Forms. So if you have other documents coming from outside agents, you always have the ability to upload those documents at this stage. So they can go ahead, send you over what what you would like. This can be your filing cabinet. So you can go ahead and upload documents as needed, have them all in this nice collection here of signed documents. I always like to clarify if an agent sends you a document that does not need a signature, go ahead and upload here. If that document does need a signature, good opportunity to upload that over here within your draft forms so that you can include that document the exact same way I did with my sample form today. You can go ahead and add strike through, redaction, add text, anything of the sort. So especially for my agents working with multiple offers, working with counter offer process, super easy. Go ahead and just simply upload that document, apply your strike throughs, apply your initials, and send out for signature just as we did here today. Now, the last thing I'm going to cover here, somebody mentioned, we actually received a couple of questions in regards to, hey, if I'm an agent and I'm working right on over here in Skyslope Forms, what happens if I decide that I'm going to switch brokerages? So your brokerage team, your admin team, they will have visibility to what's going on over here in Skyslope Forms. However, as an agent, this tool is going to be unique to you. So you will never lose that progress. This is all going to be fueled off of that email address. So, what you'll notice in the future, if you do decide to switch to a different brokerage at a later time, when you click over here into My Team, which this is going to be again, I'm in a demo account here today, but what you'll most likely see is you'll see just the exact same email that you have. It'll most likely just have this little +1 next to it. You'll have that added in here as a collaborator, so you'll still have historical access to the files you've worked on in the past. The only difference, however, is you will not be able to click back into the property file and send out any new documents for signature. If you decide to leave the brokerage halfway through your process, so let's say I started this 50th Street property underneath brokerage A, if I had not brought this all the way to the close, I would then simply just create a new property card and continue my progress. So that will just keep everything nice and compliant. Brokerage A will still have the documents that were done underneath their licensing. However, moving forward, brokerage B will have visibility to the progress that's being made. So that's actually a really great transition to talk a little bit more about Skyslope support. Today, as agents, again, we've covered a lot, so I appreciate you sticking with me. We had a chance to jump into my Skyslope Forms tool. Once again, we completed that user profile and made sure that we were connected to the right libraries. We then played around with our reusable templates, lightly touched on libraries and clauses, before I went ahead, created a new property card, sent those listing documents right on out for signature, and they landed over here in my signed documents tab. I'd then be able to jump back into my forms, reselect, maybe bring in a new template or add any additional documents, and continue my workflow. But as we mentioned, we always have access to Skyslope support, so you can click on that little help icon here. Click right on over into support, which will bring you to our support dashboard. We have some great training materials in regards to transferring files. Awesome. So you'll see if I just type in the word transfer, that will bring me right on over to this article here, transferring files into Skyslope Forms. So this will nicely walk you through best practices if you do end up in the situation where you're kind of in between brokerages. Now, we also have some great resources that are specifically for our New Mexico Association of Realtors. So I can go ahead and type that in here, maybe the abbreviation. I just want to type in NMAR. I can also type in New Mexico here. There we go. Bring that up. So that will bring up my own page. This has your nice branding. Here is where I'll be able to come in and access any on-demand trainings that I'm interested in. So if I would like to revisit today's session, you will get a copy of this directly from Zoom. You will also have that link available for you here through Skyslope. And for my qualifying brokers, if you would like to jump in, attend a forms training that's a little bit more specific to those that are going to be in that admin role, we again have a pre-recorded session available for you here. You can easily watch this on demand. Now, last but not least, for those of you joining today's call, if you're looking for a little bit more information in regards to getting started, you're really just looking for an opportunity to walk step by step through those very basic creating an account workflows, we have a getting started guide available for you here. Open up that PDF. That will show you how to jump on over, log in through your MLS board, show you how to create your account. And it also has a lot of our tutorials down below, some great time savers along with tips and tricks. So lots of great resources available for you on this page. I'm going to go ahead and actually drop this in the chat here. There we go. So if anyone would like to go ahead, click on that link, bookmark it, and take it with them, you're more than welcome to do so. So we'll continue to add more resources here under Skyslope support. As a reminder, they have that amazing response time. So if you would like to chat in and ask a direct question, of course, feel free to do so. That will connect you directly on over with our team. They even have the ability to remote in, see your screen, and walk you through questions very hands on. So lots of great resources available for you here. Now, the last thing that I wanted to highlight, last again but not least, that is actually going to be our Skyslope mobile app. So those in attendance, if you're interested in accessing everything that we covered here today, you have full access directly through Skyslope Mobile. So let me go ahead and bring that deck up for us once again. I'm going to go ahead and bring up that mobile app for us here. There we go. Awesome. So if you would like to go ahead, download the mobile app here today. Again, access everything that we covered through your phone. My iPhone users up at the top, you have the ability to download that from the Apple Store. If you are an Android user, that lower QR code, that's going to be for you. So go ahead, you can scan these and download this now. Now, if you are greeted by that login screen, you're going to use the same email address that you use to access the MLS. So the same email address that you're using to access your multiple listing services there directly through NMAR, that email will remain the same. So that will go ahead, it'll reroute you, it'll log you in through SSO, but you'll also be able to set up Face ID. So that process will be substantially quicker after you download it for the first time. So with that, guys, we're going to wrap up the content of today's training. Again, I really appreciate you sticking with me here, moving right on through our process. I know it's a lot to cover. As we mentioned, we did record today's session, so you'll get a copy of this training here once we wrap up. So we're going to jump into questions in just a moment. Feel free, drop your questions there in the webinar chat. That's also where you'll find the link to that New Mexico Association of Realtors resource page. So you can click on that link and bookmark that to take it with you. So I'm going to go ahead, take a quick pause here, read through that webinar chat. Again, thank you so much. Shout out to Logan for joining. She had a chance to take a look and monitor that Q&A, that webinar chat as we moved on through. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm going to read through them as well, see if there's anything else that we should address out loud. So the next section here, we'll be diving into questions. Feel free, drop those in that chat feature if you have them. Awesome, guys. So it looks like there was a couple of great questions that came in. Danielle had a question in regards to the MLS button, bringing over just kind of basic information. That is the case. It kind of depends on the MLS, and it also depends on the information that the listing agent has provided to that active page. So we're really kind of dependent. It's the same information won't populate as hefty in each one. It'll kind of vary depending on the location and depending on that listing agent's information that they provided. So I hope that's helpful there. I know that you also had a question in regards to documents. Currently, we pull data. So we just strictly pull the text fields, all of that information. We do not currently pull over the documents that are attached to that listing. However, you can always download and upload just like I highlighted here today. So great clarification there. Yes, that information will kind of vary depending on the listing you're working with. Awesome, awesome. Oh, great question. Is Skyslope updated with the latest version of the NMAR forms? Absolutely. We're contracted directly with them, as Logan highlighted there. We're directly contracted with them, so we are in open conversation. When there are updates made, we go ahead and take care of that for you over here. So you do not need to manage those forms. We'll take care of that for you. So if there is an updated version, you'll have a nice little banner up at the top. That'll allow you to click update now if you happen to have that form located in any reusable templates. So I'll definitely let you know if that form has been updated, gives you the ability as well to go in, update any of your blue fillable fields. Now, Dwayne asked, when you create a buyer form, How can you move that on over into a transaction? Now, I believe that's in a reference to our have a buyer quick action button here. So I'll go ahead and bring up my dashboard once again, bringing us right on back here into that main Skyslope Forms dashboard. Now, if I click Start Buyer Agreement, this will work the exact same way. However, the difference is it's actually just going to go ahead, add that filter. We'll grab that one as well. So it's just going to add a nice filter here that says buyer agreement. So it makes sure that it brings up that 1206 form for you front and center. So you just don't need to go searching. The other beauty of using this quick action button is you'll notice it did not ask me any questions relevant to a property. It did not ask me any questions really at all. It simply allowed me to go ahead and grab that one form that I'm going to need to prepare. I'm going to locate my buyer information. It'll pull up a nice contact card for me where I can go ahead, enter in his information here. There we go. Yep, see that frequently used will nicely pop up here for me, which is handy. There we go. I can go ahead and save. It'll enter that in and I can move right on forward, preparing this out for signature. Same thing, I'll go ahead and just say no action, click next. And then I'm just going to do this quickly since we had a chance to see this earlier. That'll bring me right on over. I'll go ahead and send that document out for signature here. So now I have this buyer file. I'm going to see that it's named Bob Buyer up at the top. I sent out that one single document for signature. So now when I go back to my forms dashboard, I'm going to see this nice buyer card here. I can tell by the different labeling. Once this property here does have an or I should say, once this buyer does have an identified property, I can go ahead and kind of update this file a bit further by clicking on my file details. So over here, I can give this a quick name. Let's say my client decided that they did settle on a home. I just went ahead. Let's grab this one here. So they did decide that they had a property they wanted to put an offer on. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill this out now. Central Park Ave. Oh, let's see here. Central Park Drive. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and just give this a property address instead, add that in. I can include any additional contacts as well. And I just want to go ahead and rename this. I can just simply copy this, no problem. And I can update that file name to be after the property address. So whatever my preference here, this gives me the ability to come in and make any of these changes. It'll automatically save. So you'll see just as I clicked off to the side, it naturally updated that name up at the top. So when I jump back to my files, I'll now see that new naming convention. So I hope that answers your question. If you have any additional follow-up questions on that one, let me know. I can dive in a little bit deeper. Oh, Alan asked, when is Skyslope going to fix the glitch caused by placing initials and signatures to change the size and location? That, don't have that one right off the top of my brain, but I can dive in and I can learn a little bit more about that for you and provide some information. So definitely not something that I'm super familiar with there. Skyslope will always provide you with a ticket number 2. So you can always chat in and say, hey, what's the status on this ticket? We'll always give you an update on where that fix is in the queue. Awesome. So Elise asked if I archive a transaction and then I need to make it active again. How do I do that? No problem. So over here, I'm going to see my archives over in the secondary tab. I am a big Skyslope Forms user, if you can tell. I've got about 455 opportunities to create these different property cards. So if I have this Northeast to 27th Drive that I need to bring back, I can always click on these 3 dots and I can go ahead and I can click Restore. So that will simply bring that. You'll see that green banner up at the top lets me know that this file has been successfully restored. And I can now locate that here. I can click right back in and I can continue any progress. So great question. Oh, Danielle asked another great question here. The correct envelope button does not allow us to add documents. Yes, that is the case as of right now. We do have that feature on the roadmap. However, as I said in training, if you do need to make that correction, so for example, I sent out this buyer form, it's over here in my envelopes. If I need to make this correction, I can go ahead and I can click correct envelope, agree that we're going to correct this envelope. It'll update that status. But right away here, you're going to notice that you can't bring in any additional forms. There's no way to add a form from this screen. Now, that's totally fine. Again, you're just going to go ahead and back yourself out one more screen there into the fillable screen. And that's going to just simply allow you to jump right on back into that Forms tab. Oops, sorry about that, guys. Sorry, that's on me. I shared the wrong screen. There we go. Okay, perfect. So again, this one here, you're just going to take this right on back to your forms of fillable. So from this DigiSign section here, you don't have the opportunity to add that. So you're going to do is you're simply going to go ahead and back out. So I'm going to click save and exit at this point. Click right on over into my forms. All of my progress will remain here, all of those fillable screens. So from here, I would be able to go ahead, add that form in, and I can decide if I want to grab that from this file, from my library, or I can also choose to upload. So coming soon, you will have that add forms option from DigiSign. It is on our roadmap. Awesome. Let me just go ahead and roll on through here. Awesome, awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Alan, for providing your contact information. Absolutely, we can reach out. And is there a name to rename documents in the forms page? That's a great question, Bailey. Now, at this time, there is no way to rename. So if I pop right on over here, I can click on these three dots. If it's a document that's coming right on over from the libraries, you do not have the ability to rename those documents. That is not something that we have the ability to do. We are a host of New Mexico Association of Realtors, so the naming conventions, they will stick. So that's personally not a feature available here within the Forms platform, and that's just to make sure that we are staying nice and compliant. Great questions, guys. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you guys participating, jumping in, dropping these amazing questions. Again, we'll hang out, make sure that everybody feels confident, ready to jump into their own Skyslope account. So feel free if you have any additional, you can add those now. Since we are just a few minutes before the hour, if you do choose to hop off, as a reminder, you have those amazing resources available to you. So take full advantage. Again, those Skyslope tutorials that we have through Skyslope support. We have our weekly trainings. Well, not really quite weekly trainings anymore. I should update that. But we do often post training opportunities on that link that I provided in the webinar chat for New Mexico Association of Realtors directly. And then we're also going to have that 24-hour support team. So if you need anything late nights, weekends, and holidays, you can always reach out to us. Happily remote in, see your screen, walk you through those questions very hands on, or simply advise best practices. So with that, guys, again, thank you so much for attending. We'll hang out, see if there's any additional questions that trickle in. Ooh, Norma asked a great question. As a QB, how can we see all the files on the mobile device? Great question. Now, you should have a permission that should show you all of those. But I would actually need to dive in and figure that one out there for you there. So, Norma, if you want to go ahead, I'll shoot you over an email after we wrap up today's training. I can give you some additional steps. All right, everyone. Well, it doesn't look like we have any additional questions coming in, so I'll go ahead and wrap up our session for today. Few minutes before that hour mark, can give you a little time back. So again, if you guys have any questions, we always have our amazing support team available to answer. Jump right on over. Do not waste time searching around. We're happy to support. Let us know if you have any questions. Let us know of any feedback. We love that as well. It's how we build out our roadmaps. Have a chance to download that mobile app there, take things all on the go, and join us for any of our upcoming sessions. So, with that, thank you so much for attending once again. Happy sky sloping. We'll see you soon.